Transformation.
In the
in
damp,
3,
smoke-filled
2,
trenches of a
1.
war-torn battlefield, two young women huddled together. Jennifer and Becky were fresh recruits, drafted in the final desperate days of the conflict. Their faces, smeared with dirt and exhaustion, bore remnants of the knives they had behind. A dab of eyeliner here, a smudge of lipstick there, reminders of youth and beauty that seemed almost comically out of place amid the mud and blood. "Jennifer," Becky hissed, clutching her helmet as another explosion rocked the earth nearby. "Did you take my eyeliner?" Jennifer glanced over, exasperated, barely hearing her friend over the cacophony. "Becky, now? You're worried about eyeliner now?" But Becky was already digging through her pocket, an intense look of concentration on her face. "Yes, because, believe it or not, I don't want to look like a total zombie, even here. Found it." With a quick, shaky hand, Becky traced a line under her eye. She glanced at Jennifer, who raised an eyebrow, an amused smile breaking through her grim expression. "That's better," Becky said, content. Then, in an instant, everything shifted. A bomb exploded close by, sending a shockwave of sound and debris through the trench. Jennifer shielded herself, instinctively ducking, hands over her head. As the dust settled, she felt a sharp pang in her hand. Looking down, she gasped, holding her trembling hand out in front of her. "Oh my God, Becky!" she shouted over the din, examining the jagged edge of her broken nail. "I just broke a nail." Her voice wavered between frustration and disbelief, the absurdity of the moment hitting her full force. But Becky was silent. Jennifer turned, a joke frozen on her lips. Becky's face, once full of mirth, was pale. In her hand, she still clutched her curling iron, a treasured possession she kept against all odds. Only now, the iron was slipping from her grip, her fingers twitching as she struggled to hold on. "Becky," Jennifer whispered, inching closer, dread pooling in her stomach. Becky's eyes met hers, wide and glassy, a soft smile tugging at her lips, as if she were in on some final private joke. The right side of her face was intact, untouched by the blast that had shattered the other half. Jennifer's breath caught, unable to process what she was seeing, the gruesome injury mingling with a faint, lingering beauty, as if two worlds collided in Becky's last moments. "Oh, Jennifer," Becky managed, her voice barely a whisper. "Guess I won't need the eyeliner anymore." And then, with a quiet sigh, her head slumped forward, the curling iron slipping from her hand and landing in the mud with a soft thud. For a long, painful moment, Jennifer simply knelt there, frozen in shock. The trench around her seemed to close in, the sounds of the war fading to a hollow hum. Her broken nail, her laughter, her friend, all of it felt distant, surreal. With trembling hands, Jennifer closed Becky's eyes, wiping away the last trace of makeup from her friend's face. Becky's last memory had been of the curling iron slipping from her fingers as the world went dark. And Jennifer, well, she remembered her own horrified scream, the desperate attempt to reach her friend, and then nothing but darkness. When they opened their eyes again, they weren't sure if they were dreaming or if death was stranger than they'd ever imagined. Jennifer blinked. Everything around her was sleek, metallic, and humming with a steady, unfamiliar rhythm. Becky lay on a medical bed beside her, covered in wires and blinking lights, but alive. Jennifer's heart raced, but it was a strong, powerful rhythm, as if her very pulse had been supercharged. Becky's eyes fluttered open, and she looked over at Jennifer, her face a mixture of confusion and awe. Are we alive?" Jennifer nodded slowly. "But I think we're more than alive." Just then a voice echoed through the sterile metallic chamber. "Welcome, soldiers." A figure appeared, tall and draped in an elaborate lab coat, with an unsettling gleam in their eyes. They were flanked by scientists, each one busy calibrating devices and checking monitors. "You two were selected as subjects for Project Resurrection. We couldn't let talent like yours go to waste," the scientist said, circling the two beds. "We brought you back, enhanced, stronger, faster, and more resilient than ever before." Jennifer glanced at her arm. Beneath her skin, she could see faint lines of circuitry, like glowing veins. She flexed her fingers, and her hand felt impossibly strong, as if she could bend steel with a mere thought. Becky looked down at her own arm, where a new tattoo pulsed with a strange, almost alien energy. "Wait," Becky said, slowly sitting up. You brought us back to life, made us superhuman, and we're sending you to space." The scientist interrupted as if it were the most obvious next step. Your enhancements aren't just for Earth. They're designed to withstand the rigors of space travel, to defend our planet from otherworldly threats. Jennifer and Becky exchanged glances, a mixture of excitement and disbelief dancing in their eyes. The scientist gestured to a window where an enormous starship sat gleaming on a launch pad. "So," Jennifer whispered, a thrill building in her chest. "We're superheroes now," the scientist smirked. "Super soldiers. You'll have powers and abilities far beyond what you could have imagined, and we need you for the mission ahead." With a new sense of purpose, Jennifer and Becky stood, feeling the weight of their new strength, as they were guided toward the starship. The sleek suits they were handed molded perfectly to their forms, enhanced with armor and tech that seemed straight out of science fiction. Moments later, they were strapped into their seats, facing the front of the starship, as the engines hummed to life around them. Becky glanced at Jennifer, a grin tugging at her lips. "Think they remembered to pack my eyeliner this time?" Jennifer laughed, her gaze locked on the stars above. "Let's hope so. We wouldn't want to face aliens without looking our best." The countdown began, and they gripped their armrests. As the engines roared and the world shook beneath them, they felt their bodies press back into the seats. Fire and smoke erupted below as the starship lifted off, carrying them higher and higher into the dark, endless frontier of space. With stars glittering in their eyes and a future of unknown adventure before them, Jennifer and Becky left Earth behind, reborn and ready to face whatever the universe had in store. Entering the landscape of Terra Nova, humanity's new dawn had arrived. Becky and Jennifer, once mere recruits, had evolved far beyond their wildest dreams. Through years of cryosleep, enhancement, and adaptation to the planet's unique environment, they had become something beyond human. An evolved blend of intelligence, resilience, and power, fit to lead a new civilization. A scientist's initial plan involving the Genesis unit to establish the human race anew now seemed almost quaint. After a century of suspended animation and biological optimization, Becky and Jennifer had shed any need for an Übermensch. They were the ultimate versions of themselves, genetically refined to the pinnacle of capability. On the newly terraformed planet, the two women led their people with a wisdom that surpassed Earth's old paradigms. With strength, intuition, and even an unbreakable bond forged from their unlikely friendship, Becky and Jennifer had become symbols of hope and inspiration. Their influence extended far beyond leadership. They embodied a vision of humanity that harmonized physical prowess with a rich internal life, blending humor with a fierce commitment to the future. As the new society blossomed, children listened to tales of their adventures, the dark, humorous days back on Earth, and the strange path that brought them to Terra Nova. The people no longer looked to a single hero or Übermensch. Instead, they looked to one another, carrying forward the ethos of unity and self-sufficiency that Becky and Jennifer had established. And so, in a new future, light years from Earth, humanity thrived, led by the two resilient, quirky women who had outgrown every expectation set before them. Becky and Jennifer were no longer just survivors. They were creators, architects of a future where each individual held the potential for greatness.